exists balance between a game that is entertaining and a game that is extremely complex. One example of this is the original Super Mario Bros. Imagine for a second going into this game completely blind, having never played a video game before. This game was designed so you would never have to read the manual, and it's no wonder why this game is considered to be one of the most iconic retro video games of all time. I mean, anyone can pick this game up and pretty much understand how it's played. I remember we would rent games from this one store and they wouldn't come with a manual sometimes. Oftentimes this wasn't an issue, but some games, they tested not only our gaming skills, but our patience as well. However, even with the assistance of a manual, there was one game that we put so much time into. In fact, we put so much time into this game, I still remember some of the answers to the riddles and questions. So it's time to relive this game and see if it's as good as I remember. This is the Bard's Tale. The Bard's Tale is a fantasy RPG. It was published by Interplay in 1985, and it definitely reminds me of Dungeons & Dragons with their classes, monsters, uses of stats, and the different races. This game also came out on a ton of different platforms. The Apple II, the Commodore 64, MS-DOS, and just recently got a complete remake last year. Now, when I first played this, I played it on DOS with my dad and older brothers, so that's the version we're going to stick with. But before we begin, I also wanted to give a thank you to one of my viewers named Samba, as he's the one who actually requested this video. So thanks a lot, Samba, and let's get to the game. The game starts out with us inside of an adventurers guild where sideburns and beards are required to be eligible to sit by the fire. We're in a town known as Scarborough, and before we can go outside, we need to make a team in order to face the perils and numerous monsters roaming around the city. Luckily for us, there is a pre-made team that we're able to use, and they're fully equipped and ready to go. There are definitely some pros and cons to this team, but we'll talk about that a little more in depth later. Also, who named these guys? One name sticks out in particular. And moving on. So I decided to kick him and his buddies out and make my own team. I decided on a typical balanced team. 2 tankier characters in the front, a bard for support in the middle, and 3 spellcasters in the back. Now I think we're actually ready to journey, so let's go. As we go outside, it's here where we're first introduced to the town itself, and while it may seem simple, I can tell you this, it really isn't. So the way we explore the town is by running into pretty much every single building that we come across. A majority of these houses are empty, but there is a chance that exploring one of them will randomly have some monsters inside that you'll have to fight. Living in this town must suck. Imagine, you walk outside, you forget something at home, and then suddenly, hey guys, I see you're in my house, and now you have to die. So as we continue our journey through the town of Scarborough, we soon discover that there are sections of the game that are blocked off, as well as this really weird road that is literally endless. Now it's right here where I started to remember about the issues with this game's complexity. It took us months to figure out how to get to the first dungeon. That's because it was in the manual. Typically, when you read a game's manual, it'll give you details on how the game is played and maybe some clues, but this isn't required. I never read the manual of Final Fantasy VI, and I was able to progress through the game with relative ease. The Bard's Tale? Pfft, they literally tell you where the first dungeon is and how to get there, but let's keep going. We eventually make it to a tavern where we order some wine that will lead you to the sewers of the city, and you run around and eventually find a magic mouth that tells you the name of the mad god, who is worshipped by some psycho fanatics in a temple. You go to this temple and tell them the mad god's name, and then are allowed entrance into the catacombs. Now, the way the dungeons are set up is through a 21 by 21 grid, and like all dungeons, they have walls, traps, and these stupid things called spinners that throw you in some random direction. Once we traverse the catacombs, we then get an item called the Eye, and then we have to go and explore a castle to get some more items we need to fight the last boss. And it's right here where the game seriously tests your patience because of the way the classes and combat system works. So let me explain. You have 8 different classes that you can choose from, and each having their own specialty, but like most games, the balance is quite broken. For example, the rogue's specialty is hiding in the shadows, so unless you can convince the monsters to play a game of hide and seek, he's worthless. Then you have the hunter. He can use a lot of different weapons and has a higher chance of critically hitting a single target. While this sounds awesome, you'll see why it's worthless in a minute. Lastly, All the magic users have the ability to change classes 3 times in the game, and they do this so you can get different spells that are pretty much required to make this game even remotely playable. When you choose your lineup, only the first 3 can attack, and they're also the only ones that can be attacked by the enemy. This incentivizes you to keep your tanks in the front and your spellcasters in the back, a pretty common formation for most games like this. However, if one of your characters gets killed, then the back row has to move forward to take his place. But in this dungeon, yeah, they change it up on us a little bit. This is the first dungeon that has dragons in it, and they're able to breathe fire at your party and hit everyone. And when you die, the cost of bringing them back to life increases with their level. This can literally ruin your game if you're not careful. As we journey through the dungeon, we come across a barracks, and it's here where I got into a fight with a group that allowed me to not only gain a lot of experience, but also walk away and start cooking my dinner. 396 berserkers. This is why you need spellcasters in this game, and why the hunter's critical hit ability is worthless. A majority of the spells that you learn throughout this game are actually able to hit a group, be it A, B, C, or D. However, there is one spell that will hit every enemy that you're facing. We also have this slow text that cycles through every single attack. Sometimes you would get lucky and get the first attack, so it would mean that you would only have to cycle through about 1,500 different lines of text. Yes, you heard me right. 1,500 because I counted. So after finishing my chicken dinner, it was quite good actually, a little dry, but it's okay. We beat these morons, and then we find this statue that we have to use the eye that we got from the previous dungeon. Then it comes to life and we have to kill it. This fight was so anticlimactic. Here, this is the entire fight. Yep, that's it. One strike and it's over. We're then teleported to this area that leads us to the next dungeon. My guys were almost out of magic points, so I went to go get that restored. When I tried to go back though, I made one of the biggest mistakes I had made through the entire game. I walked back, boom, right into a gate. I could not get back there because the only way you can get past this gate is you have to get teleported from that statue. So back I go. I fight with a group of berserkers again and made some eclairs while I was waiting. Not even kidding. Here's a picture of the eclairs. Got to the statue and nothing happened. Are you kidding me? Really? You one-eyed asshole. Why won't you come back to life? Oh, I later found out it's because you have to go get another eye. It's at this point, I was finished. I couldn't take it anymore. So congrats, Mangar, or whatever the hell your name is. You win. The town is yours. I quit. Reliving this game is like watching a good movie, but you only get to watch the last half of it. You're confused as to where you are, and you have no idea what's really going on. The game is not bad at all, but if you try to tackle this game without a guide like I did, I wish you the best of luck, and feel free to message me if you go insane. Hell, we can play hide and seek with the rogue while you're waiting for the text to scroll through the berserker fight. So yes, I wasn't able to complete this game, but honestly, I wouldn't be able to complete a good movie either if I had no idea where it started. On a final note, there is a remake to this game that fixes a ton of issues, and while I mostly review retro games, if there's enough interest, maybe I'll review it in the future. I just wanted to thank everyone for watching DWRelive Reviews, and if there's a game that you'd like us to review, please leave it in the comments below. We'll be posting new videos once a week, so click that notification button to get the latest in the series. As always, relive those great moments one game at a time. Until next time.